Good evening, everyone. Welcome along to the SFC interviews here with Jon Brady. How you doing, John? You okay?
Very well, thank you. You?
I'm good, yeah. How have things been treating you? Obviously, with the lockdown and the virus and everything. I see that you're back training now with Northampton, doing a little bit with them, aren't you? The under-18s.
Yeah, we started back on Monday. Good to be back. I've kept myself pretty busy during lockdown. I did a lot of online sessions for players of all levels to keep going. Mainly for me as well, because I love coaching and got out there, kept fit, and then I did a half marathon against David Buchanan. Who used to be Northampton's captain, and then I went on to do a marathon, trained 26 days to complete a marathon. And so I've been running a lot through lockdown, probably fittest I've ever been for a long time.
That's excellent, and that's really good. Northampton, we'll just touch on it briefly before we actually get into Stevenage as well. And now got their promotion. Of course, they beat Exeter quite convincingly, really, in the end in that final. What were your thoughts on that? The Northampton getting promoted up to League One now.
Look, I think people probably wrote Northampton off after the first leg against Cheltenham. But if you look at it, I text Keith and we spoke and said, look, you had all the chances. They've probably dominated possession, but they've scored 2 goals. They've had 2 shots. You've missed a penalty and you've had more shots on target. You had the big one with Verdane Oliver at the end where he could have swiveled and shot on his left foot. He chose to bring it round on his right. And then I think the energy, the intensity they played with in the final 2 games was outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. I'm pleased for Keith because on Sky, it was quite annoying that they were really bigging up young managers and saying how good they were. And I think Keith got it tactically spot on. And I thought that was vindication of the work he'd done, to be honest. So that was really good.
And then we'll get into Stevenage now. We'll start off with that. Obviously, you joined the club in 2003. So, what were your main reasons behind wanting to come and play at Broadwell Way?
Main reasons. At the time, I was playing for Chester, and I was travelling most days to Chester. And it was becoming really tough for me. I didn't enjoy the travel. Didn't mind playing for Chester at all, but wanted to play a bit more locally. And luckily enough that Graham Wesley at the time, was keen on having me. And it was interesting how I came to the club. Because Chester didn't want to let me go. And there's a story there for another day that how I was able to come to Stevenage.
And then in that spell, obviously, there was the playoff campaign as well. What saw the club get up to, obviously, the final there and losing out to Carlisle. You played a big part in that as well, assisting Dino's goal in the home leg.
Yeah, I remember that. It was pinpoint cross, to be fair, and Dino arrived as he did from sort of midfield area and popped up, and it was a great header. And it really sort of sunk Hereford, didn't it? And we went there with a lot more belief than probably we would have done with a 1-0 deficit. And
I remember that game really well, the home game and the away game. I was at both. And the home game, I remember, was it Danny Carey-Bertram for them, who scored an absolute belter from about 25 yards, 30 yards or so, wasn't it?
In off the post, wasn't it? The atmosphere that day was fantastic. Well, the stadium was absolutely jam-packed. It was quite a warm day, I remember.
It was,
it was a bit of a scrappy affair, wasn't it? Really, no real quality in the game from what I remember. And then it was about the first time I'd got in behind the fullback, and it was a great ball. I can't remember who played it, but hit it on the run first time and couldn't have whipped it in any better, But and then to go down there, and what a great atmosphere down at Hereford, packed house again, and to come away with the win and get into the final was amazing, really.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And, as I said, I was at both games. I remember the away game very, very clearly. Coming out of Hereford, it was very hostile, was the right word to use, I think. And basically, we had to kind of leg it from the stadium to the car where we parked the car, because we had to park a little bit away. So we had to run through the Hereford fans to get to the car park.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And then, of course, you played in that side alongside George Boyd as well. So what was Boydie like as a player, growing up and coming through the youth team and into the seniors?
Yeah, I bumped into Boydie, funny enough, when he was at Sheffield Wednesday, probably about a year and a half ago, when I went up. I was at Northampton with Dean Austin. I went up with the first team and assisted Dean, and I bumped into Boydie in a hotel before a Saturday game. And you could see he was a special talent, really good. He'd glide by players. And what astounded me, it was he didn't have great pace. But it was just his body shape and the way he moved, the way he glided past people. And when he was coming through, it was really nice, because we had a lot of experience with Jason Goodliff, myself, Mickey Warner, Nathan Bunce, Alan Julian, people like that within the team. And what we tried to do was really protect him and look after him. And, because you could see he was that special at the time. And, he could do things that, we could only dream of as players. And I enjoyed being on the other wing sometimes, just watching him.
Yeah, for sure. I can imagine. Yeah,
it was great. So, no, it was. I was lucky enough to play in the same team as him, and it was great to see him come through and great to see him develop. Really was.
We've got a question there from Jordan. Who was your best friend at Stevenage during your time there over the few years?
Tough one, really, because Jason Goodliff and I'd come over from Australia, and I was an apprentice at Brentford with Jason. Then we met up again at Hayes and won the league at Hayes to get in the conference. Then years later, I'm with Jason at Stevenage. But
that's right.
I got on brilliantly well with Mickey Warner. Mickey and I had a great understanding down the right. I thought he was a first class guy. I thought he was a top player. But Nathan Bunce as well, great mate as well. Another one who it was Brentford, Hayes, and then Stevenage together.
Yeah, so a couple of different clubs, and you spent quite a while with him. Yeah, and
I brought Stampy in as well.
I
spoke to Graham about Stampy. I said, you got to get him in. He'd be a great partner with Anthony Elding, and that's not a bad partnership at the time in the conference. Probably one of the best strike partnerships, in my opinion, between Stampy and Anthony Elding.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I had a lot of great mates there. A lot of great mates.
AJ's in. You right, Jules? Good listening to your brains. Hope you're well. From AJ. Sorry.
What a keeper! What a top boy. Well, I suppose Alan seemed like, the way he talked seemed like a experienced player, but I suppose he was quite young at the time when he was coming through with us. I'd say, Jules, you tell me if you. I bet you were probably about 24, 23. So good keeper. Gone on to have a great career, didn't he?
That's right, and he scored a goal as well for Billericay in the FA Cup last season. So there you go. He's now playing up for.
Fair play.
He's now going up for corners, and I think that was against Sutton, one of his former teams as well. The fourth qualifying round, got the equaliser, and then they went on to win the replay. So I spoke to Alan about that last Monday. We had a good chat, and he mentioned about that, and some of his times at Stevenage and stuff. But everyone asked him about the goal that he scored these days. And now he's at Billericay playing there alongside Ronnie and Laurie Wilson, who just signed there yesterday as well.
Wow.
So a little Stevenage connection getting together.
Yes.
Russ, the best player you played with at Stevenage?
Best player I played with at Stevenage at the time. I've got to say, I'm not saying he was, because there's got to be more consistency. But Anthony Elding, on his day, if his head was right, he was unplayable. But he had some demons up there, and you wanted to get him right. But I'd say, in my opinion, Boydie was just a match winner. He was an out-and-out match winner. And he could do some special things when we were scrappy, when we weren't great. Yeah. He could do some incredible things and, create something or score. So it's got to be George Boyd.
Okay. And then there's a question here from Keith as well. What is the best goal that you scored during your time at Stevenage? There was a few. There was one against Carlisle, which was a 92nd, 93rd minute winner and a 2-1 win.
Well, that was probably my most important, I've got to say, because it helped us getting in around the playoffs. Because I remember the last game we played, probably 2 or 3 weeks after, that we were. I vividly remember that we were standing around after the game waiting to see if we made it into the playoffs.
Yes, yeah.
And everyone, it just came through and we're on the pitch and we were buzzing that we made it in. Now, I think that goal was at the time very important. And probably my most important goal. I've got to say, I think I scored 4 or 5. I don't know.
Yeah, I think a 5 when I was looking through the stats. There was another one that you scored. It was a 3-1. Let's have a look. I've got some bits and pieces written down there as well.
I can't remember him. It's terrible.
There was one away from home. It was a 3-1. It might have been Forest Green. Was it Forest Green? Because I know we went 1-0 down and Jay scored to make it 1-1 and Matt Hawkins scored about a minute later, 30 seconds later, to actually put us ahead. And then, again, there you put the icing on the cake by scoring in, I think, the 92nd minute there as well.
I think I scored a nice one. Boydie set me up away at Morecambe. I drifted into the box and I chested it down.
Yeah, it might have been Morecambe. Let's have a look if it was the 3-1. Was that Morecambe? Bear with me.
Yeah, wow. Morecambe? What, that's nearly 15 years ago, maybe. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it might have been Morecambe, yeah. That was a really good game anyway as well. Yeah, a long time ago, yeah. What was the most intimidating ground that you played at as an away player?
Most intimidating grounds. What for Stevenage? Most intimidating grounds. Yeah, look, it was nice to play in the Cambridge derbies. Cambridge United derbies. There was some horrible grounds in our day, like Canvey Island and Grays Athletic. I thought that didn't enjoy them. I wouldn't say they were intimidating. Just no atmosphere. It was horrible. It wasn't nice. But I think the Cambridge Stevenage derbies. I think they were great to play in, and it was intimidating at the time. It was good, but I thrive on those. The Barnet games were pretty.
Yeah, they were always quite
pretty
tasty.
Big games. I remember us at home on New Year's Day, really crisp, bright, sunny day, and we beat them 2-1 at home, didn't we? And then
that's right. Yeah.
We were back live on Sky. We had a couple of games live on Sky in April time as well against them. Remember, so they quite intimidating as well. Yeah.
Jules was 22 when he joined us. What he was just saying there. So very, quite young. Yeah.
Wow. To play week in, week out at 22 and that goes to show the experience. He showed experience beyond his years at the time. When he played, he was very, very reliable. So very reliable. Yeah.
And then, what was it like playing under Graham Wesley? And, how good was what he went on to achieve at the club in later stages? And how do you feel about if we had got the promotion against Carlisle? Do you think we'd have been, able to compete in the Football League with that squad that we had and kind of be a steady, stable Football League club?
Yeah, I thought we had a really good squad at the time. I don't think we had a lot of strength and depth in that squad. I think we needed everyone to be fit. And I think that was the biggest problem with us, that when we got 2 or 3, 4 injuries, then we were seriously weakened. But I don't think we had strength in depth. I think Graham, he's very different to any other manager you'd come across, and you guys have had him 4 times now. He's he more lets you get on with how you're going to play and as a team going to play. There's not really any direction there, in my opinion. But he's more a motivating style type of person to try and push you, get you as fit as possible, and all these types of things. I enjoy the more technical, tactical side of the game, and how we're going to nullify an opposition's strengths and how we're going to exploit their weaknesses. I really enjoy things like that. So at the time, I didn't feel that I think he was young. Well, he'd done his farmer a bit, but I think I would hope he'd be a lot more experienced in the way he set his teams out tactically now.
Yeah, and you made your debut for the club as a substitute against Aldershot as well. Did you know much about leading up into that game before you actually signed, and or were you sort of just thrown in at the deep end, really?
No, it was very quick how it all happened. I was very quick. No, I just what was the score in that game? What was the score?
We lost 1-0.
Right. Okay. Now, do you know what? It's that long ago. All I remember is just the deal being done very quickly. Chester were not going to let me go, and then a couple of things transpired. I got very lucky, and I got what I wanted in the end, and I wanted to come to Stevenage. And the biggest pull was, people like Jason Goodliff, Nathan Bunce, very, very good friends, and to come and play there, I was very humbled, very privileged. Yeah. And
Jason was your captain at Stevenage as well. So what was he like as a leader in the dressing room?
There's a guy that he's inspirational fella, absolutely, and he'll put his body on the line. He'll take his time out. If you're having a bad time, he always took his time out to have a quiet word and lift you up. But Jay would do it quite silently. Yeah. He had a very good intuition about the players, the team. Graham could be very forceful at times, and he'd deliver the message a little bit calmer and quieter. Yeah. I thought he'd be, go on to. It's a shame because I would have loved to have seen him, in my opinion, take over and manage at Stevenage, because I think he'd be brilliant.
Yeah, I'm sure. Revs will do a great job. Do you know much about Alex Ravel as a player?
I know Alex. I've coached him when he was here at Northampton, because obviously a few times I've stepped up and been with the first team, and obviously with my time under Dean, I did 4 months with the first team. So Revs really well. He'll there's no doubt he will give everything he's got to that job. Whether he's going to have to learn on the job very quickly, because I found managing at Brackley for 6.5 years in the Conference North. Yeah, I had to learn very quickly, and if you don't, then the job can eat you up. But for me to survive, well, not survive, we won leagues and got promoted.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, when you were at Brackley, you did quite well for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll see. I don't know him as a coach. I know him as a person. I know he'll give everything to it, but I don't know him as a coach. And you've got to be a top coach, and you've got to be brilliant at managing people as well.
And he's got a good backroom staff there as well to help him out. Lenny Lawrence is in there, and Mark Sampson as well. So Lenny knows a lot about the Football League, and Mark, he had a spell with the club, managing the club throughout this season. And they kind of were reversed. It was Alex was assistant with Mark. So, that probably won't be too different. The fact they've worked together in the capacity this season as well. Well, this season just gone, I should say.
I think what he'll need to pull on is Lenny's knowledge of players. The transfer market. I think that's very important. I think probably Rebs right now will have a 5-year window himself of knowing players really well because he's played in League Two, League One, and he'll know players inside out. And that's when you come out like I did at Brackley. When I come out of playing and I went into management at Brackley, there's a window where you know a lot of good players. You've played with players, and that's really important. And you've got to pull on that. So that's one thing will be in his favour right now.
And, what do you think about the whole situation? Do you think they'll have any chance of, with the appeal against Macclesfield, or do you think they are kind of resigned to conference football for next season now?
Well, I certainly hope that for Stevenage's sake that they're granted to play in the EFL again, League Two, because in my opinion, it makes a bit of a mockery of the system, how they can carry on doing what they do to players and not pay them correctly. Yeah, I know a couple of players at Macclesfield. I've spoken to them in depth. Okay. And in my opinion, these are people's lives. And if you allow that to continue, other clubs will continue to do that. And then they'll use that to say, look, they did it and we can get off on it. So I think it's hugely important the FA investigate it fully. And, from what I've been told about players that I know very, very well, that, you can't go 3-4 months not paying players. And
no, 100%. Of course you can't.
Get away with it. So for me, I really do hope for Stevenage's sake, they're allowed to stay in League Two. Yeah. And,
you've managed at Brackley, as you said there. So have you come up against, and I think you played there for a number of years as well. So have you come up against any of the signings that they've made from non-league, like Ini Effiong or Femi or Elliot Osborne?
Yeah, look, Effiong was he was at Chesham at the time, wasn't he? Under Mark Lees, and goal scorer. But the problem is good players as well at the time at that level. But for me, you at our level, when you're non-league and if you're not paying huge amounts of money, then you want to try and get those types of players. And I tried to. You look at those types of players, but it's more so geographical at the time that players like that can't come to you. Andre Gray was at Hinckley.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
And I was seriously interested in him, and then went to speak to him, and then Luton just come in over the top of me at the time. So, it's I think they look quite astute signings in terms of they've done very well at non-league. I think Peterborough have shown the way in doing that over the years with a lot of players out of non-league, and their recruitment's been excellent in terms of what they've done there and bringing on non-league players and then selling them on. So
and then buying them back as well in Boydie's case.
Well, look, let's hope for Stevenage's sake that'd be really good, to be honest. Yeah, very good.
So we've got some more stuff here. What was it like, being around, the likes of, we touched on them already, Jason Goodliff, Nathan Bunce, and we said Boydie, Anthony Eldon, Stampy, Dino. What was the dressing room like? What was the camaraderie like around the whole place?
Yeah, look, you had some very strong characters in that change room. Very, very strong characters that played at a very good level. Yeah. And I think, knowing Graham, he wouldn't want it any other way in terms of strong characters. And when you reel off those names, at the time you don't look at it like that. But now when you look back and when you reel off the names you have, for conference football, it's not a bad team sheet, is it? No,
not at all. And there was still a few from Farnborough. Obviously, Buncey came in from Farnborough with Wesley, and Was Steve Watson still there at that point, and a few others as well?
Watson was there when I first started, and he was Graham's captain at the time, and you could see he was a Graham type of player. He wasn't great on the eye, to be fair, but he put his body on the line for the team. Look, that whole squad, good bunch of players, good bunch of lads, and a bunch of lads that gave everything every time they played. I know that's for sure.
And then you also came on against Tamworth as a 62nd minute sub and scored your opening goal. About 6-7 minutes later after that in a 2-0 victory. What was it like on that game? Do you remember much about that? The fact you would come on.
I remember it was I think it was a scrappy 40-yard strike from Jason Goodliff that hit the deck a couple of times, and I've found myself in the edge of the 18, and it was, I don't know what you call it, a bit of innovation or whatever. I just flicked it on the outside of my foot in the far corner.
And what did Graham say to you coming off the bench? Did he say go on and make a difference, or?
No, look, that's a long time ago. I don't remember at the time, but no. But then, who scored the second? Tell me who scored the second, because I've got an idea. No, you haven't got it.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, who was it that got the second?
I think it was a young lad coming through, and he came on as well and scored the second. And I can't remember his name. I
can find out. Hold on a second. What year was that? Was that 2004?
You know what you're doing? You're jogging up.
There we go. No. You got the first goal. The second goal was actually by Jace.
Right. Okay. There you go.
So, yeah.
Not a young lad. Definitely not a young lad.
Yeah, Jace got the second and you got the first one. But no, who was the young lad that you were thinking of then there?
Oh, he played up front. And he didn't play many games, and he sort of broke into the first team. He was a little stocky fella, out of the youth team nearly, I think. Can't remember his name.
No. I'm not too sure. Jules, if you're there, see if you can help us out, mate. No, I'm not too sure. But yeah, you have touched on Alex Revell there, and the fact that you don't really know much about him as a coach, but you know about him as a player. How important is it for the fans to actually get behind him and back him from the start of the season, and just put everything behind him and just to kind of just back him 100%.
I think looking at Stevenage, when Dino's come in, when managers come in, Stevenage is the fans around there from playing, they know football and know football well, and obviously I think you've got to give people an opportunity to get behind them, and I think Rev certainly deserves that opportunity. I bet you, when he did play for Stevenage, people would see that the guy's wholehearted and he'll give everything he's got.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it always wears heart on his sleeve, and it always, you can see the kind of guy, the kind of character that he has.
Yeah, and I'm sure he'll take that into his management. And I think right now in this current climate, more than ever, I think the fans have to get behind their own club. There's no point being negative and wasting time. And don't underestimate. You've watched the Premiership lately. How poor it's been watching the Premiership without fans.
I know. Like some of the games have been terrible.
I've enjoyed watching many of the games, really, and it just shows how important you guys are, and how important fans are to a football club, and what you guys make to the football club. And people say it, and could it be cliche, but it is. You guys can be the 12th man all the time, and then you get behind a manager and he feels like he's loved and doing well. Obviously, he's got to pick up the results. Yeah. If you feel like that, you feel a togetherness. You feel a real bond, and then hopefully, I think Revs is the type that'll do stuff in the community and really help out, and get a connection that way. That's the type of guy he is, and I think that's very important as well, because people will resonate with that.
And you've touched on it just there with the community as well. The club have done quite a lot in the community throughout this coronavirus with the sandwich delivery scheme and the helpline. How good has that been? Have you been following much of that?
Yeah, I see little clips and stuff like that on it. And look, don't underestimate, how important that is for a football club to reach out and really connect with that community. Yeah. And I think Northampton here is very good at doing it. And I can see that, I bet you people like, you got Clive Avery still up there, and what a top bloke he was at the time when I was at Stevenage. The amount of revenue he could bring in for the football club. Yeah, I bet you're finding sales tough right now, but people like that are the backbone of the club and what they do for the football club. And it's quite a close community that where the stadium is and where all the housing is right round. So yeah, it's so important because people are out there and people do feel isolated and stuff at the moment, and you can't underestimate how important that is. Where you guys have gone into the community and touch base with people.
That's right, and it's not just fans that have gone out and done it. It's players, it's management staff, it's loads of people from the academy have done it. The PA announcer Jay has gone out and done it. The commentary team Steve and Dino have done it. It's literally everybody has been out there doing it. Brilliant.
No, magnificent. So it shows, and galvanise that togetherness. Hopefully you stay in League Two, and you just never know. You get a good start and find yourselves up and around in the playoffs. That'd be very good. When's the verdict for it?
So it's either next week or the week after. I'm not 100% sure. People were saying originally that it was going to be a week tomorrow, but now it might be on Tuesday, so it might be a little bit sooner than expected now.
And how likely does it look? Is there a possibility you feel that you could be?
I think there's a good chance, really. If you have to look at the fact there's about 10 games left of the season. There was when the season stopped. We were only, I think, about a couple of points off when Macclesfield took their points. So when the EFA took Macclesfield points, I think it leaves us with about a point or 2 points difference. The fact we've not played the same amount of games, we've still had a game in hand to play. We still had Macclesfield, we still had Oldham, we still had Mansfield, we still had Carlisle, and lots of those teams still to play as well. I think that, you have to look at that. You can't overlook that. And, Nathan said it here, 100% they have to be punished because, you can look at Bury, for example. There's clubs that have just completely folded because of things like this.
Yeah. They've got to set a precedence, the FA, and it's important. So hopefully, it's positive for Stevenage, really.
And then we've got Kieran in there, the physio. What a lad and a player.
Wow, Kieran. Wow, there's a blast from the pub. Kieran, what are you doing now? Where are you? What are you doing, mate? Top man. Great to hear from you. Because he was young and up and coming as a physio then.
Yeah.
Interesting to know what he's gone on to do. So, yeah, great guy.
He's got his own little consultancy now, his own physio consultancy that he does. So yeah.
Ah, brilliant news.
He's gone on and done really well actually since he's left the club. Yeah.
Oh, good to hear. Great to hear.
And then so August the 11th is when the verdict is apparently. So that is still next week.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So we spoke about that the current situation. What would you say about the games being closed? Behind closed doors. Obviously, you mentioned about the Premier League and the fact that it doesn't look the same. It's not the same for the players. It's not the same for the fans missing out there. What is the what do you reckon is going to be the next step in getting the fans back into the stadium or to get things moving a little bit more again?
Well, what we've heard on our end that potentially. Hold on, Kieran. I'm running my own clinic. Running coach. I need you, mate. I need you. Yeah, our little chats with you and oh, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Well, I'll have to get your number, Kieran, somehow, some way. Try and get me on Twitter, and then DM me. I sound like one of the young lads, don't I? DM me. Yeah, so that'd be great, mate. Yeah, definitely catch up, mate. So for me, we hear snippets that that fans will come back, but it will be socially distanced, and so many, like, don't quote me on this, but Northampton can apparently get in roughly about 2,000 into the ground.
Yeah.
So whenever that happens, I heard a rumour Stevenage did it, and they could potentially only get about 600. Would that be right?
Possibly then, because the capacity is, I think it's about 1,800 now with the new North Stand as well, about 1,800, 2,000-ish. So yeah, that would probably make sense. About 650, yeah.
Right, and like for me, I think that's going to be tough for a football club because the stewarding that would have to go on, the expenses that would have to be paid there, it probably wouldn't be worth it for some football clubs to have the fans in a way, because it would probably be a lot more costly for them, wouldn't it? For the football club. Now, look, we've got to get rid of this virus first and foremost, I think, before we go back to normal. I don't want to sound like a pessimist, but we've got to have the vaccine, really, don't we, before I can see us all in a stand and then jumping when a goal scored and everyone cheering and hugging each other those days until.
Yeah, it's a long time, maybe a couple of years at least, until we see things like that again, I think.
Yeah, and I just hope non-league survives. I just hope that football clubs. I just hope there's the support from the English Football League, the Premiership, the FA. I just hope there's the support here, because it can't carry on. Can't carry on like this.
No, absolutely. And Kieran said he's going to find you on Twitter now. So in terms of, what would you say to any up and coming coaches or managers that, would want a little bit of advice getting set up into, maybe coaching up with the under 18 somewhere, or grassroots levels?
Yeah, look, helped a lot of guys that played, like a good mate of mine's, Gary Mills, that used to play for you.
Millsy,
Millsy played with me at Stevenage, and first thing I said, mate, what's the only job you know, when he was coming towards the end of his career, and he was panicking, and I said, get into coaching, you'll love it. And then he after trying his non-league management, I suggested he do the under 16s at Northampton, and he took them over and has done a brilliant job there. What I would suggest is that you be studious in your approach. Don't rush it. Go through your levels, go through badges. Really, you've got to love the game. You've got to have a massive love for the game to do it. Because for me, I see coaches out there very robotic, but you've got to have massive amounts of enthusiasm. When you step on the pitch or training ground, you've got to feed that energy, feed that into the players. You've got to have good knowledge. But I see a lot of young coaches that I find very frustrated at the moment in academies.
Yeah,
not kick the ball and want to jump over a lot of people, and ethically, I don't find that right. And I think it's important that you love the game and you do your badges, and but it is like a driving test. The FA teach you to be a bit robotic, but you come out and find your style, your way. And, definitely, I think at 45 now, I'm hugely comfortable in my own skin, coaching as well. I love
That's brilliant. Yeah, that's excellent. And then in terms of like the academy at Stevenage, how important is it for them to still be able to produce these young talents? Ben Wilmot has come up and been a talent that's come up through the years and is now with Watford. And now there's the likes of Louis Fernandez and Jack Smith and Arthur Ryanton that are all, probably going to feature in the first team at some point in the coming season.
Yeah, well, Revs will know these boys quite well, won't he? Because obviously he's, he started off last season as the youth team manager. Obviously, a bit disappointed because I didn't get a chance to beat him, really. But because Stevenage hadn't played us by the time he went up with the first team, and started to play with the first team, and things had changed. Look, you can't underestimate how important it is at a football club. In the last 2 years, we've had 100 appearances from our youth team in the first team at Northampton.
That's excellent. See, that's a big achievement. Yeah.
It's not been done before, so that's hugely important. All the work everyone at the football club's done. Yeah. Keith Curl giving these players the opportunity. You need a manager to give that opportunity and be brave enough. And who knows right now in the climate we're in, in what clubs can afford to pay and what players will take as well or accept. I think you might see a lot more youngsters getting those opportunities.
I think that's right. I think over the past few years there has been as well. There's a few that have been out on loan, but now Liam Smythe, Jack Smith, Louis Fernandez, and Arthur Ryanton is at a senior contract for about 3 seasons now. The others have all been out on loan, Braintree and places like that, and then now, getting ready to step up into the first team and actually have an impact. Yeah,
really important. So, and the youth, if they can step in, they really add an energy to the squad. Yeah, and then a bit like Boydie, when the senior players feel very protective, so that it creates that togetherness. Do you know what I mean? So exciting times if you got those opportunities with those young players.
And then we've just got a few questions on here. Was there any weird nicknames in the camp when you were at Stevenage?
Weird nicknames? No. Bunsey. No, not. I don't know. No, that's a bit left field, that question, isn't it?
It was a little, yeah.
Sorry, Paul. Sorry, I don't.
I won't get you to sing your song because it had some expletives in, doesn't it? So.
Yeah, I'm a little bit embarrassed. I suppose I was a fiery customer, and it transpired that I think I got into someone in the stands, didn't I?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But I do apologise. But yeah, I wore my heart on my sleeve and gave everything I've got, and I was a bit fiery. I mightn't have been the best, but one thing you couldn't say, I lacked effort. No,
100%. There was a number of times where I remember you playing on that right hand side. Obviously, you mentioned that the camaraderie and the chemistry you had with Mickey Warner, that was really brilliant down that right hand side, and just a shame in the end that the chance against Carlisle fell to him and not somebody like Ant.
Yeah. If you come back to Carlisle, I remember early on, I had a nice volley in the far corner.
Yeah.
And keeper made a good save. I clipped one right to the back stick with Stampy, and I don't know how to this day he still didn't nod it in.
Yeah, I remember. Was that the one that was off the line?
Yeah. And one thing I felt disappointed on the day was that I felt that was probably in my opinion, one of my best games for Stevenage.
Yeah.
And I just felt the squad froze. Some of the players froze on the day. And it was, I thought we were a much better side than them. And just so disappointed. They got a scrappy goal that they got.
Yeah, it was a very scrappy goal. Yeah.
And that ate away at me for a long time. Long time, that one. And then thereafter, Graham wanted me to stay, but then just obviously what he offered me was he didn't want me to stay. What he was offering me, and I was gutted to leave Stevenage, and it really forced my hand to leave, to be honest. Yeah.
And then there's a few times you actually came up against the club as well. I was doing a bit of research for the interview I'm doing with Carl Alford tomorrow, the little chat I'm having with him. and you played against him for Rushton and Diamonds a few times, and you played for them, you played for Kettering. So what was it like playing alongside some other top class players as well? Even at Chester there was Darryl Clare, and there were some really good players in that Chester side at the time.
Yeah, good players.
Rushton had some good players. They had like Billy Turley was in that squad and stuff as well.
Rushton at the time, plethora of players. You had Ray Warburton, what a centre half he was.
Yeah.
Jim Rodwell is now chief executive at Sunderland.
Mm-hmm.
Billy Turley, probably one of the best. Alongside Alan Julian, one of the best non-league goalkeepers.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tarkin Mustafa right back, Paul Underwood at left back.
Paul was brilliant. I remember. I think Stevenage were interested in signing him a couple of times. I think as well.
Yeah, what a player he was.
Yeah.
Then we had Dwayne Darby, Justin Jackson up front. Unbelievable strike partnership. Andy Burgess on the left went on to play for Luton. Good player. And Millsy, middle of midfield, young boy coming through.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, towards the end of my time with Stevenage, you had Andy Lowe, Jamaican international, Paul Hall playing. It was incredible. Incredible there. Darryl Clare, if you go on to him at Chester, what a striker in terms of non-league. I think he had the mentality. He was the best.
Yeah. And
his finishing was incredible. When we went into the league and stuff, when they went into the league, I watched them, and he just didn't have that belief in himself in the league for some reason. I don't know why, but what a striker. What a striker.
Question here from Tom as well. He just popped in. I know he didn't play there long, but can you ask Jon how different it was to play in Norway and what kind of adjustments you had to make to be over there and how difficult you found that?
Yeah, that's a good question, to be fair. And bringing that up, I went out there to gain experience and play in a league. So I played in the one below the top. Played in a place called Mjolnir, which was right up in the Arctic Circle.
Okay.
And when I arrived, there was ice everywhere. This is in April. And the pitch was a clay pitch. And you had to wear the studs were probably about that big that you had to wear.
Yeah.
And it was incredible. You had to fly everywhere to play your games. Very professional it was, but it just made me grow. I played as a striker then, and scored some goals, to be fair. And it was just you're playing against. I remember playing against Tor Andre Flo in their version of the FA Cup.
Yeah.
But the adjustments I did have to make was that every time, because it was in Europe, every time you went in for a tackle and contested the ball knee high, I'd get sent off because I just went in with my studs to win the ball, looking at the ball, and then a player would just fall on the floor, and I'd be like, what? And then I'd be sent off, and I think I got sent off about 3 times. Through tackles,
just general tackles.
I couldn't believe it. It was more where they were very, trying to sell themselves to get you sent off. But I love my time there, and it when I did come back, because I was at Hayes at the time, and I came back, and that really kicked me on because I came back fitter, stronger than ever, and then we went into the conference, and then Rushton came in and bought me.
That's right.
So very lucky. Yeah, very lucky.
And then, when you signed for Stevenage, just going back to that briefly, you were doing a bit of coaching with Arsenal. Is that right as well at the time? Yeah,
I was. Like the one thing I was very conscientious of from the age of 18 when I was over here, when I did my, you go back years, it was called the prelim badge at Brentford. I did my FA prelim, and at 18, I wanted to be a coach, and that was the thing I touched back on with Graham and stuff. I was very studious about training. After sessions, I'd go back and write them down and write down what we'd done. And but tactically, I wanted to pull on a lot more, and I love the managers that really work tactically. I didn't have, I didn't have much respect for those type of managers that just set a team out there and said, go and play, and hoped for a result, not actually, like I said, never left a stone unturned, and that's where I really like those types of managers. Brian Talbot was excellent at that at Rushden. He was spot on.
Just a very analytical manager who kind of as you said before, it doesn't leave a stone unturned, and looks at the strengths and weaknesses and how you can exploit that. Yeah.
No, very important, and it's just you can only do so much of G'ing players up and being as positive as you can, and I think it's especially this day and age. But look, there's an element as well of keeping it simple, not overcomplicating it, but simplicity is best. But I like that, and when things come off like that, and when you consistently get good results, that's quite a buzz as a coach.
And then obviously, just to round things out, you played alongside Dino, but how's he? How do you feel about Dino now and what's happened with Oldham there? Do you think he's going to be able to get into the Football League again, or do you think maybe for him he's got to take a step down to be able to get back up into the Football League in a few years' time now, like he's done with Northwich and Southport and things like that?
I think he was very lucky, in my opinion, to get a job as the Oldham job when he left Stevenage in the position they were in. In my opinion, again, I can't comment on Dino as a coach because I've never really seen him as a coach. I know he made a quite a difference at Nuneaton when he was there from the results that were there previous to when he left, and I suppose he was he got a very good opportunity in terms of having the opportunity to come and manage Stevenage, and you look at the results in the end. I think it was a bit of romance, wasn't it? To have him on board and everything, and
when he was at Stevenage, 100%. It was nice to get him back again. Obviously, he worked with Wesley for a while. He played under Wesley in your squad. Then he was assistant manager and coach, and to have him back as a manager was that's it. It was the romance factor, and we're grateful for that. Just for the fact he brought Ilias Chair in alone, to be honest, on loan last season. So,
well, I think that all these things, when you're a coach, and if you, I think the biggest learning curves are the ones where is it considered failure? It probably is when he loses his job and what have you. But those type of people that really look at what they've done and how they can change it and what they can do to be better. I think Dino is the type of character that only come back stronger, and he's not got any lack of belief in himself, has he? So
no, 100%. No, he's
people know Dino, so he'll believe he can still be in the Football League, but it's about opportunities, isn't it? And what type of opportunities come along and what he's willing to accept.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we'll leave it there, John. Thanks a lot for your time this evening, and so just want to wish you the best of luck really with what you're doing at Northampton, and anything that you want to just say at the end of this. Do you want a little message for the fans or anything like that?
No, lovely. Thanks for having me on board. Lovely to speak to you. Lovely to bring up the memories about what we did at the time. Still to this day, absolutely gutted that we never got promotion in 2005. That hurt me for many years. Just to let the fans know, I always wanted to stay. I desperately wanted to stay. And I was disappointed that in the end I was offered something, but I left. But that's football, and but what a club! They really were supportive down that side, that right hand side when we kicked to the new stand, and that right hand side for me. I had a great rapport with all the boys up there in the stand, and I kept in touch with a few for many years. No, I love my time there, and lovely people. And I just hope for your sake that you're in the Football League, and I wish you all the best this season. And I know you'll get behind your team.
100%. Yeah. We just want to echo that really as well, and just wish you all the best for everything that you got planned for the next season, and anything else that you got going on away from football as well. So all the best, John. Thanks a lot for your time tonight, and cheers. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Cheers, Bye.
Cheers. Bye now. Bye.